Scientists and engineers are working on creating ways to store renewable energy from the sun, wind, and water so that we can gather a lot of energy on a sunny day or a windy day and save it for an overcast day. Although there are lots of exciting advances in how we store renewable energy, including in batteries and by converting it to hydrogen, more work is still needed in this area. This challenge doesn't mean that renewable energy is bad, or that we won't be able to stop using fossil fuels. In fact, we absolutely need to replace fossil fuels with renewable energy to reach net zero emissions and stop the climate crisis from worsening. And there's something that everyone, me, you, your siblings, your teacher, can do that will help. We can reduce the amount of energy we use. If we reduce the amount of energy we use, we contribute less to the burning of fossil fuels while we wait for all energy to be generated from renewable sources. There are simple ways to reduce energy consumption. Let's start at home. At home, you can make sure lights are turned off when not in use. You can also try and take shorter showers, so you don't need to use a lot of energy to heat water. In the winter, when it gets colder, you can layer your clothing and wear more jumpers so you don't have to turn on the radiators, which often uses gas to heat your home. You can encourage your family or individuals you live with to do the same. Now, this one is a bit more complicated, but definitely impactful. You can encourage your parents, carers, and others to make their homes and appliances as energy efficient as possible. Anyone can do this by looking into how well the boiler and radiators work and how heat may escape through windows, the roof, and walls. Or, if they rent, asking their land person to do this. When a home is energy inefficient, heat from the home may escape through windows, walls, and roofing. This means an energy inefficient home would use more energy to make the home warm. We can also help the move to renewables by changing the time of day we use energy for some activities, like when we put the washing machine on. This can help reduce energy demand when the sun isn't shining and the wind isn't blowing. Apps on your phone, such as the When to Plug In app, can tell you the best time of day to complete high energy demanding activities, like doing the washing. Another way we can reduce the amount of energy we use is through how we use transport. In 2020, it was reported that there were over 40 million cars on the road in the UK. Many cars get their energy to work from burning gas, a fossil fuel. Others, like electric cars, get their energy from electricity. But at the moment, electricity is not entirely generated from renewable energy, but a mix of renewable energy and fossil fuels. With over 40 million cars on the road powered by fossil fuels, that's a lot of carbon dioxide being released into our atmosphere. But we can do something about this. Firstly, we can begin by prioritizing active travel to get from one place to another, like to get to school. Active travel includes walking, cycling, skateboarding, using a scooter, and rollerblading. Active travel doesn't use fossil fuels. It uses your body for energy. This means that when you take part in active travel, you aren't releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and you're getting your heart and blood pumping, which is really healthy for you. It's also helpful to prioritize public transport like buses, trams, or the tube. This is because when many people travel together on public transport, there are less cars on the road burning fossil fuels. Another type of travel we should think long and hard about is air travel. Air travel is the most carbon-intensive form of travel. Flying in an airplane burns more fuel and releases more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere per kilometer traveled than any other form of transport, like cars, trains, and buses. There are many ways we can encourage our families to fly less. We can ask our families and friends to prioritize taking the train if we can. A train journey, especially across the UK, can be really beautiful, which can add to the trip while burning fewer fossil fuels. If we have to fly to see our family, for example, we can ask our parents or carers to try and make the trip as long as possible so that we take fewer, longer flights to see our family instead of multiple short ones. The last thing I'd like to talk about is jobs. Remember how I said many people in the UK used to work in coal mines to feed and house their families? Around 40 years ago, in the 1980s, as the UK switched towards gas and oil, many coal mines closed and coal miners lost their jobs. There was hardly any support for them, and many individuals and towns across the UK are still dealing with the impacts. Nowadays, many people in the UK and around the world have jobs extracting or transporting fossil fuels, like oil and gas, or they work in industries that rely heavily on fossil fuels, like air travel. These jobs are important because they support people to feed, shelter, and clothe themselves and their families, and plan for the future. We need to make sure that when we switch to using solely renewable energy, individuals and families that rely on fossil fuels for money are supported to work in sectors that are better for the environment. People across the globe call this a key part of a just transition, or a move to green jobs and renewable energy that is fair and benefits everyone. One way we can ensure a just transition is by encouraging the government to keep creating jobs in renewable energy and other sectors that are good for the planet. We can also encourage government to invest money in retraining people who are working in industries that rely on fossil fuels to instead work in more sustainable industries. We also need to work to encourage people to want to have a green job or be reskilled in sustainable industries by educating communities everywhere on the benefits of green skills. When we think about our energy use and the switch from fossil fuels to renewable energy, we always need to think about people and communities in the UK and around the world who may be impacted. This ensures we are working together for a fair climate future.